Good morning, everyone. I'm Rebecca Jensen, the 2021 RESO Board Chair, and it is an honor to have Ryan Schneider join me today. Ryan is the CEO of Realogy, which is the industry's largest residential real estate brokerage company. Ryan, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Rebecca. Greatly excited to be here.
Great. So Ryan, RESO has been working for many, many years towards getting better data from MLSs to support brokers and at the end of the day, consumers. And so from your standpoint, what are the growing broker needs today? What does that look like?
Well, look, I think the continued influence and impact of organizations like RESO is very important. We live in a data-driven world, and the more we can do together as an industry to make the data simpler for people, to make it more accessible for people to use on social media, to make it more mobile friendly, and to really focus the data on, frankly, the handful of fields that are most important for our customers. Is a really powerful thing we can do in this time of transformation where every industry is finding data to be increasingly key to their success. And, having an organization like RESO that is focused on that kind of simplicity, that kind of step forward and commonality across the industry, I think is really good. And, with the size and scope of our company at Realogy, we're very supportive of those kind of efforts, and we like the direction we're going as an industry.
Awesome. RESO has been working very hard to make sure that we are certifying the quality of the data and really pushing the industry to simplify the access. So do you have any comments on that? What does the landscape look like as far as being able to get the type of data that you want in a simple way?
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better, but look, we do live in a complex ecosystem. There used to be, 800 MLSs? I think we're down to about 500 now, but that's still a lot. And, we operate in 50 states and work with pretty much every MLS. But, anything we can do like RESO has been doing to set standards and common approaches around data is really helpful as we integrate. In our company, we've gone to more of an open architecture. We use products we develop for agents and franchisees, but we also use a lot of third-party products, but we're all trying to access the same data. So anything we can do to make that data common, to make that data easy to access through APIs, and make that data as consistent as possible across a frankly pretty fragmented industry still is a good thing. And that's why RESO, its standards and its push for simplicity, is a powerful thing for us as an industry.
So are we heading in the right direction then? Are you actually seeing cost savings? You mentioned your third-party vendors. I'm just wondering if you hear from them on the ability to access your brokerage's data. How are we doing?
Yeah, I think we actually are. Increasingly, there's a number of companies in our industry. We're one, MoxieWorks is another, that are building, ecosystems of multiple third-party products through cloud-based services. And the fact that we've got more consistent data, that more MLSs are using APIs to access their data is a really important thing. We've combined stuff like IDX and VOW and other things like that as an industry, and we embrace that. And so we're seeing all the right moves, but this is still a pretty fragmented industry. We got a lot of ways to go. And, we are going to have to work together as an industry under the RESO umbrella, under other umbrellas to keep moving forward. But I like the direction, and I like that folks like you and Sam and other leaders of RESO are focused on this topic. It's important, really so we can do great for customers, right? This is all about taking care of our customers. And the easier it is to access the data, present it, share it in mobile-friendly ways, the better we can take care of customers as they navigate the home buying and selling process.
Sure. And it's funny when you mention customers, obviously you're talking about consumers, but, to RESO and MLSs and trade organizations, our customer really is, brokerages. And so yes. In recent years, we've been trying to work better together, not just through RESO, but through NAR and other trade organizations. How do you see that relationship evolving? What is the role going forward in making sure that brokers and MLSs and vendors can work even better together in the years ahead?
Well, the nicest thing about the whole opportunity here is that, when we talk about customers, all the customers have the same objective, whether you're talking about the end consumer, who wants to focus on those handful of most important data fields and they want accuracy and consistency and easy access, or whether you're talking about the brokerage as a customer who wants to be able to get that data to present to those end customers. And so, everyone in the ecosystem has the same objective. And that's why I think, the fact that not just RESO, but other parts of our ecosystem care about this issue and are working on it. And that, we as the largest player in residential brokerage care about it deeply and are working on it, is an important thing. And it's something I think we absolutely should continue. One of the strengths of our industry is that the data is pretty democratized. We share our data through the MLS system with each other. And that's not true in every industry. But because of that democratization of the data, it does raise the bar for our need to be consistent in that data, simpler access, faster access in a world that's going increasingly real time. And so, again, we still have a ways to go, but we have made progress. And as the largest player in the industry, we're very supportive of, being a partner to push for more of that, both as a customer of many of the organizations you talked about, but also sort of what we can do to take care of our customers.
Right. Well, and when you talk about real-time data, obviously that became even more important during the past year. But I know that, there are a lot of new products that are constantly being invented in our space. And I wonder from a broker standpoint, are you getting the type of data that you need to power new innovations? Or is there additional data that you would like to see the industry create, collect, distribute? Do you have any comments on what is new?
That's a great question, Rebecca. I guess I have two answers. One is, there's one type of data that we generate as a broker, and a franchisor, et cetera, that is unique to us. And we get a lot of power out of that, especially with the size that we have. And so we are finding most of our new data success opportunities to really mine the unique data that we have access to and that we generate in the consumer and franchisee and agent insights that we get from our own data. From an industry standpoint, I actually think there, in some ways, is almost too much data out there. And so I've not actually seen that many new great industry level data products. So for example, I talked earlier in this call about, with the hundreds of fields that are in the data that gets provided that we all share, for the customer, they only really care about a handful of those. And so, the real challenge is how do we make sure that handful of data the customer really cares about is, up to date and accurate and fast and all those things. And I would love if somebody out there, created data products that created real insight for agents and brokers. Most of that I have seen being done within brokerages. And I think the industry opportunity is more on the simplification, consistency, speed, less complexity of what is already a massive amount of data out there. So that's where we've gotten most of our insights, which is on the internal side of the data. And we really are continuing to want to push the industry for simplicity and accuracy, et cetera, which I think benefits everybody. And we are awash in data, most of which, unfortunately, customers don't use.
So it sounds like we need to just focus more on the efficiency side on it, not necessarily on the new.
Yeah, again, I think we may be a little different because we're a little bigger and have more data, and we have, a big data science team and stuff like that. But, in general, I think if we can make the data, stronger, more accessible, more efficient, smarter and more consistent, that sets a really high bar of a level playing field for all of us to then do our incremental things on top of. And, to your point about how much complexity there still is in the industry, I think there's some room to keep making progress on that accessibility and that efficiency and that consistency as the top priority for all of us. And then we can each kind of make different investments in where we can get unique insights. Because again, there's a lot of things that we want to do in common, and that's what RESO is right at the core of and we love. some of the higher level insight things may end up being something you can't share as much and you want to be able to build competitive advantage about as a company. But we just have enough to go to still simplify it, to still make it efficient and make it accessible, that I'd really love to continue the success that you and your team has already demonstrated.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And it also tells me that RESO is on the right track. Sam DeBord and his team are working very hard, again, on the certification front to make sure that it's even easier to not only get certified through RESO, but to make sure that the product that is delivered in the name of RESO, if you will, is, like you said, streamlined, efficient, so that brokers can really just use the data to be better to the consumer. So I don't know if you have any parting words of advice or things that you would like to have those at RESO during this conference contemplate, or any last words?
Well, I just want to say thank you for everybody for making the investment with RESO and the time you're putting into this conference. We live in a world where data is both increasingly proliferating and is incredibly valuable. It's often easy to go for the bright, shiny object parts of data, but a lot of the power of data, I find, whether you're running a company or trying to, frankly, run a whole industry ecosystem like you're doing, is the consistency, is the infrastructure side of data. And if you don't have a good foundation for your data, you're not going to deliver great value to your customers, whether it's brokers or consumers. You're not going to deliver great insights. And so, I was passionate to come join this because that core foundational work that RESO is doing is a critical thing for the industry. And then it lets each of us kind of build on top of that with our own insights and our own things we're trying to do, to create value for the end consumer out there. So it's got a lot of passion for data as an individual and as a leader. I love what we're doing at Realogy with data insights and how we're using third-party data and products to drive change. But I absolutely recognize that we have an industry obligation to have very solid data to build all this on. And I want to thank everybody at RESO for what you're doing to be a part of that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and your passion and your involvement. You're a great example. We definitely are trying to get more brokers involved. And so thank you for paving the way and being involved in RESO.
Thank you for having me, Rebecca. I hope you have a great rest of the conference.
Likewise. Thanks.